fiasco. But Schuyler was really interested in the pictures to be seen, not necessarily thought of. But he really was very interested in people seeing these pictures. So in order to be seen, Look offered a mass circulation. So in March 1937, the first FSA photographs were published in Look. And if you go back to the very first slide, the very first picture, that's actually the cover of the first magazine with the pictures in it. Schuyler wanted the credit lines under the photograph, like you see in newspapers nowadays and see in magazines, like, but normally put it in the crack of the magazine. The photo credits, and he wanted them to be given to the FSA, or the photo credits to be awarded, but it didn't really happen very quickly. Schuyler began offering exclusive sets of pictures to capitalize on the demand for picture stories, but the decision to hold some pictures exclusively from one magazine may have impeded a wider circulation of these images. By choosing which pictures the editor saw, strikers had just a little bit of influence on which pictures were circulated. Life did not offer the pictures of poverty, where Look offered those pictures in a bunch of issues. So Life contacted Dorothy Lange, and Stryker was ecstatic about this and was like, sure, use the Resettlement Administration's time and money and equipment. As long as we get credit for it, go for it. But the Department of Labor did not want the Life to publish these images until after it had published its images. So there was all these delays, and at the end it never worked out. In March 1937, Look offered a photo essay entitled "Children of the Forgotten Man," and then a few months later offered "Caravans of Hunger, Thousands of Landless Farmers Wander California's Highways." The words "forgotten man" and "caravan" sort of indicate like modern-day pioneers. Look wanted to educate viewers and generate sympathy, but the rhetorical choices didn't lead to that. Each feature was standalone and separate from the bigger picture that kept readers sort of looking in. Let's go back. It kept people looking in, not actively involved or moved by the pictures of the situation. The sharecropper feature was in the magazine in between a 2-page feature arranged for arranged marriage in Zululand and a 2-page centerfold of actress Marna Loy. And I went looking for this picture, and I think that I found it. Unless this woman is often pictured in a bathtub with flowers, this is the picture. But then she may often be pictured in the bathtub with flowers. The caravan feature was pictured to be between an expose over spiritualism and a feature about sign language. Look saw the importance of the different types of pictures to be all the same. The savage, the sharecropper, and the sexy scarlet all merit equal representation and treatment in the picture magazine. The layouts induced a feeling of surveillance in the viewer. The images had a stolen, serendipitous tone, and the images usually featured children, which served as an infantilization of the poor as needy and helpless. The magazine never gave the historical context of the pictures, what created the poverty in the first place. In the largest picture was a child who could have been any poor child, not a byproduct of the Depression. The circle crop picture of the girl isolates her and makes her as though she were being viewed through a camera lens. Looks reliant on candid images presents the FSA subjects as downtrodden others, while conditions readers might pity, but with whom they are not likely to identify. Look cropped the mother into the doorway, and in the caption suggested that many other children were inside. In the context of other photographs of that woman, there seems in reality to only be one more child. So they made it seem like there were a whole bunch of kids. The pictures of African American children were used not only to bring attention to their plight, but to emphasize the plight of the white. Look, it's white people that have to live like black people. No causes or situations were offered. We just need to look at them. When the Grapes of Wrath came out, it made a big change in how people were viewing the Depression. And so the Look magazine went on the bandwagon with this, and were like showing the real Grapes of Wrath and the real Judes in the Grapes of Wrath, and they offered these pictures with quotes from the Grapes of Wrath as though they were really telling the story. They wanted to show the real or true Grapes of Wrath. They also offered a perspective of the governor of California, and he presented that the immigrants were not just California's problem, and stressed for need for government help in California. The use of quotes helped the magazine do something that it had never really done before. It gave voice to the pictures. It made those people real, even if they were real fictional characters. It showed more adults, showed adults taking care of children, versus previously they sort of infantized, there we go, the downtrodden other. Look did not address the context of the picture of the problem, but the Grapes of Wrath did serve as a device for creating dialogue about the immigrant issue. On the other hand, by pairing the pictures with a book, the reader may see the people as characters in the book and byproducts of a fictional world. But Look claimed to be defictionalizing the immigrants of Grapes of Wrath, the real Jodes, in order to show reality behind Steinbeck's fiction. Yet in doing so, Look imposed still another set of narrative conventions upon the migrants, those of the picture's story, making the migrants ever more fictional, and removing them even further from the concrete social and political context in which they lived and worked. So, unions get involved, and that sort of makes things worse for other people. And Look continued to show the sharecropper as something to be looked at. But Stryker was still less concerned with how the images were portrayed, but that people were seeing the images. So, I thought about this, and I was like, do we do that now? Like, do we present poverty in a way for people to just look at it? And I was like, oh, yeah. The people of Walmart. Here's where we have pictorialized poverty, or elements of poverty, and here, look at me. Nobody gives a context to these people's plights. Nobody knows their issues. Nobody knows that they have proper clothing or access to proper clothing or a vehicle, hence the lady in the corner pulling the barbecue grill. What if she doesn't have a car? We don't know that, so we use her as a spectacle. So we still do this. Yay!